Hi everybody, Father Bill Holtzinger here, and this is your Friday Reflection. Well, I wanted to let you know I'm in the parish house here. I'm recording on Wednesday as I normally do, and something's a little different. If it's my haircut, you're right, that's what it is. And also I have a beard, that's right. I'm growing the beard back, so if that's what you guessed, good for you. I'm just doing this because it's winter and I'm a little bit lazy. I'd rather just shave under the chin and not all over the face. And this gives me a great excuse to do just that. So there you go. All kidding aside, I actually want to talk about something that's quite serious, and that is immigration. That's right. What is the Catholic response to immigration? Well, let me offer you this. The beginning of this started in the late 19th century, where the Industrial Revolution was going on, and people were being dehumanized by the labor that they were being forced to do. And this was an issue for the Pope at the time, Pope Leo XIII. Does that sound familiar? We have a Pope Leo XIV. Well, Pope Leo XIII recognized these issues around this Industrial Revolution, and he then wrote in an encyclical called Rerum Novarum, rights and responsibilities of workers, but also how immigration should go, and not in the exact details, but laying out some ideas, philosophical, theological, and natural law. Those have been developed since then by other popes and other bishops. So what are the principles as we stand now as Catholics? You ready? Here they are. 3 principles. Number 1. The first principle, I'm just reading this off of the U.S. Bishop's website. So the first principle is this: people have a right to migrate to sustain their lives and the lives of their families. Again, people have the right to migrate to sustain their lives and the lives of their families. So during World War I and World War II, people were being pushed out of different locations because of war. They were seeking asylum, they were seeking rescue, they were seeking places to go to. They could just feed themselves. Their land was being bombed, people were being injured, killed, and of course then families needed to move to get out of harm's way. Those are the kinds of things when we speak about people have rights to be able to migrate to different locations. This is different than like me going camping. So just to make it kind of ridiculous, I go to like Prineville because I want to get away from my home or get away from the regular area and kind of get a different look at things. You might go on a retreat. These ideas are to kind of get a fresh start, but not because there's any oppression, not because there's a lack of food, water, etc. We're talking about these kind of situations where there are an example of World War II, the Nazi Empire coming in and sweeping through a country and just laying it waste, and people just running for their lives. What is it that they're called to do? People have a right, basically, according to the church, to migrate, to sustain their lives and the lives of their families. The second principle is this: that a country has a right to regulate its borders and control immigration. Again, a country has the right to regulate its borders and to control immigration. So it's not a wide open border kind of situation where it all goes, but actually a country can say, yes, we need to have borders of some kind, and we need to then have people be able to go in and out, and we need to be able to control that and have some way to do that. I think there's the rub, probably, because I think we can all agree that the immigration process, at least in the United States, is broken. And it's been broken for decades and a long time. So what is it that we need to do? I don't have the answer for that. And that's where, again, I'm just giving you the principles. That's where you as a Catholic, or if you're not a Catholic watching this, you as a generic Christian would need to then reflect on these things and say, now, how can we then help our country to formulate policies that are just and that are fair, right? Well, that brings me to the third principle, that a country must regulate its borders with justice and mercy. Again, a country must regulate its borders with justice and mercy. So the process needs to have a certain amount of due process and a period of time that must allow them to be able to get a reasonable request done and understand how to do it. That's part of the justice part. Also, a country needs to be aware that there are situations where mercy needs to be exercised, where somebody is needing to leave and there's a very good reason, and it may not fit all the requirements, but there may be a need to bring mercy to recognize that person is in immediate danger and we need to help them. So those are the principles. Now granted, I'm not telling you what party has what's right and what's wrong. I've given you extremes, and each of the extremes are propagated by the opposite party about the other one. So somewhere in the middle is some of the truth there probably. But even then, as Catholics, we're being called to use these three principles and then get involved in the political movements to find an immigration policy that is not just wide open borders or all just closed borders, but used with justice and mercy, recognizing some people have a right to migrate, and also the country has a right to control its borders. There you go. How's that for a deep dive? And how's that for not getting into the weeds, because that's the part that's the hard part, and I don't have the expertise to talk about it, and I don't know if many people do. I'm not even sure politicians do, but there we have it. Those are three principles as Catholics we sit on, and we need to then be firm about and weigh what we hear about, on the media with these principles, and knowing that as you watch how things go on in media, you feel kind of discomforted and bothered because there's something about it that's okay, but there's something wrong about it. Well, that's probably because you're a Catholic, probably a good Catholic, because it bothers you, because none of these policies that we have are fully down the view of the Catholic Church. And that shouldn't be surprising, folks, because a lot of things in politics are, very, we'll say, polarized and don't fit into the Catholic Church's point of view from Christ's teachings, from natural law, and the scriptures. This weekend, folks, I'm going to be preaching, so I'd ask you to pray for me. I'm going to be reflecting on what it is to be arrogant, what it is to be humble, and connect that with also the poor and the rich. And I've already spoken and had my meeting with our liturgy team, which we meet on every Wednesday. That was today as I'm recording this. And I have some ideas, so I'm going to then not put pen to paper, but I'm going to put my fingers to the keyboard here shortly so that I can offer you a homily that helps you to kind of ponder on whether you're being humble or where there might be arrogance in your life. And that, by the way, includes me. God bless you all, and I'll see you this weekend. Bye-bye.